Good morning. So yesterday we heard Jesus talking to the Jews about setting them free from the slavery to sin, and they're confounded. And today he's talking about the fact that if they keep his word, they will not die. And this confounds them even more because they say, well, everybody dies, right? That's just part of life. Even Abraham and Moses and the prophets all died. So who are you to say that we're not going to die? And then he's speaking about Abraham, your father rejoiced to see my day. And the Jews said to him, you're not even 50. What do you mean you've seen Abraham? And he says, before Abraham came to be, I am. They pick up rocks because they perceive that he's speaking blasphemy. He's claiming that he is God. They're saying that's impossible. There's no way that can be. You cannot be God. You're here standing in front of us. And so they're prepared to stone him. Rather than think, no, maybe God really is here with us. Maybe God really is in our midst. They don't even consider it a possibility. Of course, here he's talking to the Jews, and they're very set in their ways of how they live their religious life. And they can't believe that somebody would come and say, there might be a different way. There might be a more full way to live our faith. They say, no, this is what we've been handed on. And perhaps that happens with us as well in the church. We say, no, we've been handed on these things, and this is what it means to be a Catholic. And then the church comes and speaks and says, no, this is what we're doing. This is the important thing. This is what we ought to focus on. We say, no, that can't be, especially if it's coming from someone who's not yet 50. Don't pick up any stones, okay? Because you'd probably miss anyway. If you could even reach the altar. What? Well, you're close. Okay, anyway. Just watch out for the windows, please. But how often do we say, no, I'm set in my ways, and this is what I perceive that the church has taught, because this is what I've heard for the last 60 years, and I'm not willing to question it. I'm not willing to move on it. I'm not willing to change. This is it. This is where I am. I've finally arrived at this place in my faith, and I will not move beyond it. I will not move forward. I will not move back. It's a dangerous place to be. It's a dangerous place to be. It's a complacent place to be, whereby we sit there and we say, okay, I got it all figured out. Don't want to listen to you, right? I don't care if what you say has reason to it, especially if it challenges what I do and what I believe and what I feel. But Christ comes crashing into the world, crashing into reality. God becomes incarnate. He becomes man. And he says, listen to me. Follow me. Do my will. Some of the Jews say, okay, you're right. They recognize he's the Son of Man. Others are stubborn. They're obstinate. No, this can't be. I refuse to change. I refuse to even allow the question to enter into my mind that this could be a possibility. For us, that's a very dangerous position. If we refuse to even let the question enter into our mind, am I doing something wrong? Could I be doing something differently? Could I be doing something better? If I won't even let the question enter into my mind, then I'm completely closed to conversion. Because I guarantee none of us are all the way there. None of us are saints yet. None of us are living in the illuminative phase of our faith whereby we see God clearly. None of us are mystics. But we're striving for holiness. We're striving to get there. We're striving to be more like Christ. We can only do that. We can only strive to be more like Christ, and we can only allow Christ to transform us if we listen, if we're open to changing, if we're open to turning away from sin, if we're open to turning closer to Christ, if we're open to walking with Christ, if we're open to listening to Christ, if we're open to allowing ourselves to turn from our former ways, to say, I'm seeing Christ more clearly now. The church helps us to see Christ more clearly through the liturgy, through the signs and symbols that we use, right? Windows help, they tell stories. Statues and stuff in the altar helps. And then we go in Passiontide and we cover it up in violet cloths. Because for these 2 weeks, we kind of take away the crutch of having the image, right? We take away the crutch of saying, okay, there we go. I can look at that image and meditate. It's for a time where we have to say, okay, Christ is in hiding, and so we don't have those aids to help us to see him. We have to rely on our faith. But then on Easter, they'll be taken away, and we'll be able to see all the glory. We'll be able to recognize that indeed God is in our midst, that he is present to us. And so the church assists us through the liturgy to recognize Christ, to see Christ. Everything that we do in Mass points towards Christ. It points ultimately to the Father through Christ. The way that we pray, the way that we sing, the songs that we sing, rather the hymns that we sing. Hymns are something that are sacred and directed to God. The method with which we sing, say a little prayer that everything goes well up in Macungie, Pennsylvania today, and that they get the Allen organ all boxed up so that it can get on a truck tomorrow, and it'll be here to be installed on Wednesday, so that for Holy Week and Easter, we'll have organ music. And for those of you that are like, oh gosh, not the organ, stop, okay? What you remember of the organ is some old lady that didn't know how to play it because she was a piano player, and she hit every third key wrong, and it sounded like a funeral dirge. And I get it, but come to Mass on Holy Thursday, and you're going to hear what an organ is supposed to sound like. We have a really, really good organist coming in to play for us. He played in the Crystal Cathedral. He was director of music at Peachtree Presbyterian in Buckhead for like 21 years. So we lucked out. So if you want to know what an organ really sounds like, come on Holy Thursday and you're going to hear it. Even more so, come on the Easter Vigil, and then in the postlude after the Mass, you're really going to be like, wow, did we get a whole orchestra? All coming out of those 4 little boxes up there on the wall. But the liturgy helps us to better see Christ, okay? And so that's an important thing that we have to remember when we come to Mass, that I'm seeing Christ. I'm being led through word and through sacrament and through symbol and through sign to see Christ more clearly. And so as we prepare to enter into this most holy of weeks, let us recognize that Christ desires for us to see him more clearly, and let us really truly enter in to a worthy participation in the sacred liturgy.